All right, welcome back to the K Pasa podcast. I am the ringleader, and today, last time, this is my second show. Last time, I had a caller call in with a disorder goes by the name of Tourette Syndrome, and I didn't uh, start my last podcast off correctly. I wanted to kind of explain my reason behind doing this podcast. It's because I wanted to kind of combat the depression, suicides, get callers to call in and kind of like talk about their stories, people that suffer with depression because I suffer with depression myself. And it's a very serious thing and it could stop someone from hurting themselves or hurting others. And I think every, in my personal opinion, every driveway tells a different story or has a story. And some stories are good and some stories are not so good. And some stories are kind of in between. Um, and what I wanted to do is get callers to my idea coming up with this podcast is to get callers to call in or send me an email at thekpasa@gmail.com, all lowercase letters. Tell me your story, a little bit about your story. Some of the things that you don't want to speak on or don't want to touch on, let me know ahead of time and I kind of bounce around those and won't bring them up. But I want I don't want people to leave this earth without telling their story to the world. And last week, like I said I was gonna bring them back again to finish our part one. This is called part two. And the topic was will I ever find love living with Tourette syndrome? And the caller came in and told us about where he was raised at, how it was living there, friendship, and we got into a discussion about his love life. And I was kind of inquired about his love life, and he told a very interesting story about his love life. And I have him on the line now, and I kind of want to pick up where we left off from last week with that story. He told a story about one female that he began the relationship at age 40 with his female. And if you can go back and listen to our previous recording, you can catch up on that story. But right now, what I want to do is I want to pick up on the second female. Carla, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Last week we talked about your disorder and how hard it was coming up as a youth living with this disorder. And what I wanted to do is uh I tried last week to get you to go from the first relationship to the second one, but we had to cut it short because you had to go to work. So you had to get off the phone. So
Yeah.
this week I want to pick up from where we left off with this second um relationship. Um, where did you meet this woman at? How did it go?
Of all places, I met her at a bar.
You met her at a bar and you said it was 2 years later, 2 or 3 years later after the
Yeah, approximately. Yeah, that's pretty close.
okay, so
I mean, I'm not good with timelines and all that. So I mean, it might have been. I mean, that first relationship might have been maybe a year or two or three sooner than 40. Or I'm terrible. It's just one of my failings that I've never been good with. But it was about between relationships about 2 years or so. Yeah,
okay, and you met her at a bar. Was it the same bar or a different bar? Where was
a
this bar
different
at?
bar.
A different bar.
It was more in town. There's a place called Cheers
So you remember the
of
name
all
of it.
names.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you said you was living with a guy that you met playing Dungeons and Dragons at the time.
yeah. I knew the guy for quite a few years actually. There's
Okay.
me and him, and he had a cousin that was living there also.
And in the same apartment, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He owned a house.
Okay. So let's get right to it. Okay. So you walk in the bar one night and there she was.
Yeah, it was daytime. Yeah, and I forget exactly. We got to talking a little bit. I think I was back shooting pool by myself, and I mean, I thought she was hot. She's about my age, kind of long hair. She was part black, and she was a mix. And I talked to her a little bit, and we got to talk about partying, and told her I smoked dope and stuff, and I I think we ended up leaving the bar to go back to her place
That same night?
where she was staying. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you took her back to did you go to the hotel or you took her to the same place where
No,
you
no,
living?
we went to her place. She had an apartment. And we
Okay.
went back there and partied and stuff.
So what you call partying? Is that were drugs included in this partying?
Yeah,
Okay. So you went back
yeah,
to her place to get high.
yeah.
So
And,
uh
and drank a little bit. She already had some people
she had some people there living there or they went
there.
there.
I kind of, sort of, yeah. It's
Okay.
it's it's hard to describe, and I mean it's like she was friends with this lady and her family. She called the lady her mom, but she was kind of like sleeping around with all the brothers and stuff. It was weird. It was just
Explain that part once more. You said who was sleeping around with the
this girl is kind of bouncing from brother to brother, kind of in a way. I think.
you think or you know?
Well, I know she was with two of them. There's like three or four of them altogether. It was a big family. This lady had and the lady actually, I mean, I got to know her after this girl and I got together, and she liked me. She liked me a lot.
Okay, so that's the house that you went to that night.
I didn't meet the lady that night, no, but it was when we got back there. It was me, that girl, her. I'm just gonna say foster brother, for lack of a better term. It was the lady's son, and this girl I went back with, and him had off and on relations in the past. Okay,
Like an
and there was
ex-boyfriend.
another girl there.
Like an
Pardon?
ex-boyfriend. Like an ex-boyfriend.
I guess I think so. I'm not sure if there's anything still going on between them or not. I know they were still friends. Whether there's anything sexual going on between them still or not, I don't know.
Okay, you mentioned that you had Tourette syndrome. So
Yeah,
how did your confidence play in when you met her uh with your disorder?
I'm always I'm always shy at first because I don't know how they're going to react to it when they start seeing it or when I tell them about it. You know,
So
but
you
I mean,
So were you
The
able
drug
to control it when you met her for a certain
just,
amount of
I mean,
time?
for a little bit, but I had to. It's just I was gonna have to tell her. So I think I even told her before we left the bar, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a long time. I think I told her about it before we even left the bar, just to get it the hell out of the way. Because most times it's best to just let them know ahead of time, so you ain't getting your hopes up and getting your heart ripped out.
How did she react to it?
You know what I'm
How did she
saying?
react to it?
She seemed like it was all right. Not that big a deal to her.
Okay, so she didn't mind. That's good. So how did the relationship last? How long did it last? Like what did you do in between
I'm gonna
time?
guess
Like
maybe
how was the relationship? How did it go? Was it a good relationship? Was it a toxic
it,
relationship?
it is toxic.
Explain why it was so
It is
toxic.
toxic
Why was it so toxic? Because of the drugs or
because
another reason?
a lot of it was drugs. A lot of it, she was in trouble all the time. I mean, probably damn near a quarter of the time we were together, maybe 6 years or so, and a quarter of that time she was in jail. A lot of times she didn't come home. I mean, she got so fucked up. She didn't know where the fuck she was. I helped her get a damn car, and she would get so fucked up she didn't know where her car was. She'd come walking home, and next day couldn't remember where she left her car, where she parked her car at.
So
Had to drive around.
what year after you met her, or what's the time frame where you noticed a serious problem? Like I'm pretty sure you wouldn't have
That was
stayed with her
almost,
if it started off
al-
that bad. So what month or year did it start going south?
I don't know, probably about 9 months or so. I mean, it was good for a little while, and then she just started. She got out of control. What happened was she ended up going back to jail. She was in jail a lot.
What was the first time for
Kept
when she went to jail?
um kept I kept parole violations for something she did before I met her.
Parole? Do you know what she was on parole for?
No, I can't remember.
Okay, so when you say drugs, what type of drugs are you talking about? Is it weed? Is it cocaine? Is it heroin? Is it crystal meth? It's a lot of
She
forms of drugs.
she was. I mean, I had done coke earlier, and I quit. But she was doing crack. She was on Percocets. She was on OxyContin and smoking dope, drinking, and I think heroin from time to time. Although I never actually saw her do it.
Okay, that seems like a lot of drugs, a lot of different drugs. So basically, you trying to say that she was using like every type of drug, anything that came along, she was using.
she,
She
she
was one of
she was
those.
like out of control. And
But
I tried to get her help, and
but you loved her though.
yeah, I really did love her
So
at first,
what was the at first? You
and I
say you
think
were
she loved
with her
me
for
too.
6 years. So at first,
Yeah, but the
what
last probably year and a half or so,
we're gonna get to the year and a half.
year
I'm gonna say let's back up. Let's start from the beginning. Even though she did drugs, what was her the main attraction? What was her top quality that drew you in or kept you there? Or what made you want to help her or stick
when
with
she
her,
was
stick by her
straight,
side?
when she was straight, she was a good person. She had a good heart. I mean, she was when she was straight, we got along good. You know, she cooked, she cleaned. You know, she she took care of me. She wanted me to look good and stuff. I mean, damn.
So how did it affect you watching her struggle with this drug addiction? Knowing that some
It
nights she didn't
tore
come
it
home.
tore me apart because I'm already having my own problems. You know what I mean?
So I'm assuming you had a job at this point.
Yeah, when we met, I had a job. Yeah.
So did her addiction, did it interfere with what you had going on before you met her? Like your job, did you had to miss work to go look for her? Stuff like that? Did it interfere with your life?
A little bit, but just a little bit. Not to the point that I lost my job because of her. I did end up losing my job, but it's because the place went out of business.
Okay. So I'm pretty sure you were worried about a lot, being that you knew what
Yeah,
type of drugs she was on, and she wouldn't come home some nights.
yeah. And
So
her way of making up for it was she would buy me pot, thinking that would appease me. But you know, I mean, it didn't work that way. I was still smoking. I was still smoking pot at the time. But that was the only thing I did.
so
But
you go ahead.
but she would come home and she would be so fucked up. I guess I shouldn't be using that word. She'd be so messed up that she'd get a plate of food and warm up in the microwave and sit down on a couch and pass out with her face in the plate of food.
And what type of drug?
Literally in the plate of food.
So what type of drug you think
Okay, I'm
caused
not,
that?
huh?
What type of drug you think do you think she was on when she fell
Is
asleep?
a mix. I think because crack picks you up and the oxycontin and Percocets bring you down. And she get 30-day supplies. I mean, she get 90-day supplies of the oxycontin and Percocets, man. I mean, she got Jesus. It was crazy. The doctor should have been prosecuted for over prescribing to her.
So you believe that the
It,
doctors they gave her too much?
oh
Instead of
yeah,
trying to get her some help, they just gave her more and more drugs.
they gave her enough drugs to screw her. So I mean, She had she had enough where she could get fucked up for the first month or so, and she'd sell the pills for trade the pills for crack and maybe heroin.
So you mentioned that she started getting into trouble, like going to jail. You mentioned that she spent a lot of time in
Yeah,
jail. What were the
yeah.
charges? What were some of the
Because she
charges?
kept, I mean, she was parole violating for because of drugs. That's what it was. You know, she couldn't stay clean, and so they violate her.
So most of it was
And
like
she'd be going
fail.
back for 6 to 9 months and get back out, and they put her back on parole, and she'd be out for a little while and go back again.
So is that how the relationship lasted so long? Because part of the time she was incarcerated.
Well, that's, I mean, like I was going to say earlier, the last probably year and a half, 2 years or so, we kind of lived together when she wasn't in jail, but we weren't together. We stepped apart and pretty much did our own thing, you know. And she still wanted me, but I didn't want her anymore. I was done with. I just had enough.
So you had enough. Did you?
And
Did
I
you?
tried to get her help, and she'd go for a week or two and then quit going. And she just. I know it's not easy, but it's just like she didn't want to try.
Did she ever
The
try?
drugs were more important.
Did she ever go to rehab? Did she ever try? Did she get help when she was locked up? Did they put her in a program?
As far as I know, no,
Did she go to AA meetings? Did you try to
no,
convince her to go to AA meetings?
yeah.
How did that work out?
She went for. I mean, I only got her to go one time, and uh, 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 um, and before she even went, the director, whoever that initiates the, whatever it is, however you say it, she said she didn't believe that the girl was serious about rehabbing.
So she didn't want help, basically.
No, I don't think so. I think she was just trying to do it to make it look good. Try to make it look good for me.
So the only time that she
She never
actually,
really remember. She never really quit.
so when she went to jail, did she get clean or did she find drugs in jail?
I don't know.
How did she look? How was
I
her
don't.
appearance once she came home? After staying, you said
She
what?
didn't look bad when she came home until the last time. She didn't look bad, and so I think she kind of got off of them. But I mean, she was right back on them again because she go right back to the same people she was with in the first place.
the same
That she ran
friends,
around with.
her her
Yeah,
her associates, they kept
yeah,
feeding it back to her again.
damn right.
So did you ever think about taking her from that place or that area and moving her to another area to keep her away from those associates?
I couldn't do it at the time. Like I said, I had lost my job and I started working under the table part time. So I just couldn't. My hands were kind of tied. I was paying when she was in jail. I was paying all the bills in the apartment.
So when it comes to the jail, the sentences, what were they? How did they start off? Were they 6 months, 3 months, a year? How did they start
I
off?
think it was. I think it was 6 months. I think she did two stints of 6 months and one of nine, I believe.
So did she work? Did she have a job during any of this time?
She
How did
had a
she how
job
did how,
for
how did she get the
about
money?
3 months
How did she get the income to support a habit?
selling pills. The doctor gave her the fucking pills. The doctor gave her the pills, and she'd sell the pills.
So that's how. So she would sell the
Yeah,
pills, get the money to buy different types of drugs with the money.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so the last time she went to
And
jail, when she got
the
out,
last time she went,
what did you
she
do?
weighed like 250, 300. I mean, she got huge.
So she got clean.
She
She started eating
I
good.
don't I don't I don't know. I don't know if she got clean. I think somehow or another she found a way to use while she was in jail the last time.
So did she ever
Something happened. I don't know. Something happened the last time she was in jail. Because she
something?
went from like she went from like 120 pounds to 250 pounds.
So was it some form of depression medication? Because some types
I don't
of
know.
so
I
she
really don't know. I mean, uh, I didn't have privilege to her records or nothing. I didn't even know who her PO was.
Okay, so you don't know for sure if she
And
was taking
she,
some anxiety or depression, antidepressant medication.
yeah, no, I don't know.
How did she act from different stints in jail? How was her attitude, her personality? Was it always the same or did it change? Did she ever try to find or seek or change religion? How was that?
No, it was always the same.
So no matter what happened when she went to jail, got out, she was the same person every time. Always
Yeah,
kept the same
yeah,
person. Was she
yeah.
a happy person or a sad person for the most part?
For the most part, she was a happy person.
Was did she change when she used, or was her attitude consistent?
When she used, she just kind of got. She wouldn't. She couldn't sit still. I mean, she was constantly on the run.
So
I mean, she had. I know for a fact she had clothes at probably half a dozen different places where she would go party at.
so she
Because
stayed.
I used to have gym bags, and they all disappeared because she'd take clothes with her. Because I think she knew she wasn't going to be coming home, and she didn't want to come home to me fucked up because she knew I'd get pissed.
So how did that make you feel? How long did she stay gone? How did you feel? I mean, how did you deal with
Sometimes
it?
she'd be
What
gone
did you
for
do
3 or 4 days.
what did you do to deal with it? How did you
I
cope?
really,
Because I'm sure you're not the only person that goes through this. Matter of fact, I know a couple of people that's going through this right
it was
now, something similar.
frustrating. There wasn't really a whole lot I could do, you know. I but it was frustrating because I wanted to help her, but she didn't want to help. So
So how did you deal
and
with it?
she usually we'd end up fighting when she got home.
So how did you deal with it? Did it cause you to drink more? Did it cause you to smoke more weed or do any other types of drugs?
That's
How did you deal with
that's
it?
the weird thing. No, I didn't drink more. I think I just kind of closed up because I kind of you know when I couldn't get her to accept help, I kind of closed up.
So looking back on it now, have you had something that you could have done different? What would you have done different? Looking back on it,
I don't know
do
because
you?
she had a kind of a destructive nature to her. I think
What you mean by that?
I don't think
What you mean by that?
because it was like she had to have the drugs. The drugs were more important than anything else.
So she was uncomfortable in her own
And
skin.
she had I think yeah I think she'd done drugs for I mean for years and years and years. So it's what she knew. It's what she wanted.
So did you ever talk to her about why she used drugs? When did she start using drugs? What made her start using drugs? Did that conversation ever occur?
No, I don't think it did.
So the only thing you know is she was using drugs already and y'all just took it from there. Y'all never had a
Yeah,
heart to
and
heart
I just
conversation?
didn't. I didn't. Not about the drugs. No, I just didn't realize when we got together just how bad she was.
Did she ever steal from you or was she a thief?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. She wrote. She take blank checks and write out checks and shit. I came up short for rent a couple of times. I had to pay rent late. She took my car one time, said she was going to a grocery store. and actually it's more than one. It's like 2 or 3 times before I put an end to that real quick
How did
because
that
she's
go?
going to the
What you
grocery
mean?
store.
What you mean you put an end to it? How did
She was not allowed to drive my car anymore.
so the check situation? She stole. You say she stole money from you. How did that go?
Yeah,
How did that conversation go? How did you find out?
that wasn't good.
How did you find out? Did she admit to it? Did she say
No,
sorry, or you just
because I went to the bank and saw there was the money that was supposed to be there for rent wasn't there. And then I went and looked at my checkbook and saw there was a check missing.
did you ever find out what happened to the check?
I know what happened to it. And I mean, she's the only one that had access to my checks.
Did this happen more than one time?
Yeah. And then I started hiding everything I could hide. Anything of value, I tried to hide.
So was that the only thing she took? Was one check, or well, checks with an S, or did she take the TV, the
No, no, no. She didn't.
VCR?
She didn't. No, she never messed with TV or VCR or anything like that. Thank God.
Okay.
But she took cash a few times out of my wallet. She took some checks. I mean, thank God none of them bounced. I was lucky there that I had money in the bank and none of them bounced. But and she didn't write out for like $300 or anything like that. It was like $30, $40,
Oh,
enough for her to get
that's
for
a
to
little
get a
bit of
little
money.
a rock. Yeah,
Okay, so you say you were in love with this woman after she took you through all this pain. What do you think
yeah. I fell
made
out of
you?
love
What did you? What made you stick with this woman? Um, what did you see in her that made you want to stay there for so long? You said 6 years. That's a long time. What made you stay there for
because,
six
like I
years?
said, when she was straight, she was a good person. She had a good heart. She took care of me. We got along really good.
Was it
The
that
sex was
she
great. She was, I mean,
did it have anything to do with she knew you had Tourette syndrome and she accepted you for who you were? Did it
well,
have
yeah, that had a lot to do with it.
explain that a little bit? Why do you feel that had a lot to do with it? Did you feel like you couldn't find nobody
Because
else that would
otherwise
accept?
she wouldn't have. Otherwise she wouldn't have stayed. I mean, she kind of used me, but when she was straight, she she treated me good.
Because I
That's the best way I can put it. She treated me good. She respected me. It wasn't. She she didn't run around when she was straight and stuff.
from our
Like I said,
previous
we got along and everything, and it was just good.
conversation, you mentioned that uh your first relationship, she used you. You felt like she used you for money. What made this person
Yeah,
different? Because it seems like you're saying that she kind of used you for money.
because
She was writing checks,
yeah,
but it wasn't like that.
but I think a lot of that had to do with the drugs. Because she was so addicted to the drugs. Drugs, will, and alcohol. I've got alcohol addiction in the family. They don't make a person do things that they wouldn't normally do
So you forgave her for what she did
for that
because of the
buzz.
drugs.
Yes, I did
So that's how you separated the two.
at first.
So that's how you separated the two, the first relationship and the second relationship.
Mm, Yeah,
So,
I believe because I mean the first relationship, that girl never really did anything for me. It was always for her, you know.
and the second one made sure you were dressed
The
nice.
second one, I felt she did things for me, you know.
So, which did you love her more than the first one
Yeah.
because of that?
Mhm.
Because you felt like she cared about you more.
Yeah.
So, do you feel like y'all were meant to be together?
I don't know about that because the drugs were more important.
Do you feel like it was any kind of way,
And
any way possible? Was it a possible way that you could have got her away from the drugs? Was it some help
I
out
don't,
here
I don't,
that she could have?
I don't know. I mean, we're talking 20 years ago, and back then, the help for you, the help for drug addiction wasn't what it's today. Even today, it's not good, but back then, it was, you know. And we ain't even got to the worst part of the story yet. So
Okay, so you told me before that you felt like the doctors had a lot to do with her addiction,
yeah,
like
I do.
pushing
Now,
drugs.
now, now I haven't said, but she did need the pills, but not the way the doctors were feeding them to her. She
Eh,
was in a car accident and messed her leg up. Okay, and they had to do some serious operations, and every now and then she would get a severe cramp in her leg, and that's what the pain pills were for. But it wouldn't happen, but maybe 2 or 3 times a month. Okay, but they were, but and she had them. I don't know. I guess she must have had them convinced she needed the drugs every day or something. I don't know exactly how the doctors determined how to give her so much.
And you say they were
But
Percocets and Oxycontin,
yeah, both of them, not just one, both of them.
and she had a 90-day supply of both.
Fuck yeah,
And that was like
I
she
keep
was getting them
saying
like
that.
every 3 months. She
Yep.
would go to
Yeah,
the
every
doctor.
3 months you get up. Yep.
Did she have a second doctor she would go to get more before her time was up?
I
Or that
I
was
don't
just
know.
one?
I don't know. I don't think so. I think it was just the same doctor, the one doctor.
But she didn't need them every day. But some way
No,
she convinced the doctor that she needed both types every day.
I guess either that or the doctor. I mean, it's a proven fact that the pharmaceuticals pay doctors to push um, opiates, and this was before it became
Regulated.
public knowledge that they do it. You know, and nowadays they know that the pharmaceuticals pay doctors to push opiates. Back then, they didn't know that the pharmaceuticals were paying the doctors.
Okay, so
So I think this doctor was on the take from the pharmaceuticals and pushing opiates out to whoever their clients were.
so you blame the doctors for most of her disease or the reason why she couldn't get
For
off of it.
promoting it. I mean, she was already, I think, a drug addict before. I mean, I don't know how long she lived. She was originally from Texas, so I'm not sure how long she lived in Pennsylvania before I met her. But definitely the doctor that she was seeing at the time that I met her was promoting her drug addiction.
Okay, so you said the last time she went to prison, she got out weighing almost double the amount that she was weighing before she went in.
Yeah,
So how long was the breakup after the last time she was released? How long did y'all stay together before?
we were already broken up. I mean, I was still living. We were still living together, but we weren't sleeping together.
How did that work?
She,
You were staying in the
it was
same house with other people, but you
no,
had
no, 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 no. It was just her and I. It was just her and I. You know,
so
and those other people were just there that night. You know, it's like I guess they'd come over and hang out, and sometimes spend the night until I moved in. When I moved in, all that kind of cool. You know, it wasn't a party house anymore.
okay. So that calmed down after y'all got together and started getting serious.
Yeah,
You put a
I
stop
mean,
to it.
what would happen is she'd go out now, but
Okay.
it didn't happen. You know, it didn't happen right away. It took probably 9 months or a year before she started going out pretty regular. You know, she was hiding it.
So okay, so what happened? Uh what was the last straw when you said, "Hey, I'm done with this person. I'm moving out. I can't take it no more." How long did that take? How long did you sleep together, stay together? Well, sleep in separate rooms, but live together before you
Maybe.
move to separate homes.
Oh well, it didn't get to that. She I came home one night and found her dead on the floor. She OD'd. I was I was I was staying at a friend's place for the weekend, watching his dog and cat while they were away, and I had I had our dog. We had a dog, so I would take him out there, and you know, my buddy's dog and my dog, they play together and stuff. And I came home one night to grab some clothes to take back out to his place, and walked in and saw her dead. Saw her laying on the floor.
Wow, man, I'm sorry to hear that. Uh,
You know, that was and and I had to call 911. And when the police got there, I was a homicide suspect until they could get the coroner there. This is probably about 3 in the morning. So it took a while for a coroner to get there and do a toxicology test.
so were you arrested or they never arrested you?
No, no, they didn't arrest me, but I couldn't. You know, I had to stay outside of the apartment, and I had to stay within sight of the officer. So they didn't want me to, I guess, run or something and try to get away or whatever.
Were they drugs like laying around? Do you know what happened? What type of drugs she used to overdose? Well,
I'm just assuming I never got to see the toxicology report.
I mean, you were the first
Um,
person there, and you were the
I mean,
one that found her.
because yeah, but I mean, I didn't. I don't. I don't think they didn't find any crack, and they didn't find any heroin. Of course, they had the pills were prescription, so they were there. I think they found a little bit of pot. There wasn't much of that, but if she did heroin and smoked crack that night, she would have smoked it up. There was never anything left over. Once she started, she was an animal.
So how did that make you feel, man? I already know it made you feel bad, but how did it affect you, like moving forward
It
after
fucked
that?
me up. It messed me up. I mean, because you know, I didn't love her anymore, and I was frustrated, and I was already in a bad situation because I didn't want to be there, and I didn't have the means to move, and I didn't want to go back to my parents' place because my mom and I are a toxic situation.
So what did you end up doing?
And
What did you do?
well, I ended up going back with my parents after she passed away because I couldn't afford the rent. I mean, she would get food uh she got she got assistance every month, and that's what we were basically living on besides the little bit that I made under the table. And that's how we were paying the rent because none of her drugs went to bills. That her drug money got smoked up, or whatever, popped up, whatever you want to call it. It all went to back into drugs. Their drug money went back into drugs.
So you mentioned that you only had two relationships, and that was the second one. Uh, Up until this day, that's still your last relationship, and you said that was 20 years ago. Your last
Yeah,
serious relationship. Do you feel like
yeah,
that? Coming home, finding her uh deceased on the floor. Do you think that affected you in any way, far as finding another girlfriend or
yeah.
look?
Because I started having nightmares and stuff. It messed me up. That's not something I would wish on anybody, to find somebody that you cared or used to care about. You know,
So
still there? Oh yeah, okay.
so that's part of the reason that
So I mean, I was already messed up from having to deal with the Tourette's all my life, and the family abuse, and and then that happened.
so what did you say in your mind? Hey, I'm through with women. This is it. Women don't bring me nothing but pain. Uh what was it? Or you just gave up on love or um
I just kind of, I mean, it's not that I haven't been in a serious relationship because I haven't wanted to be in one. I just I don't, I can't meet people that I don't meet women that want to go out with me.
do you feel like you
I
tried
mean,
it?
I was single for a little while, and I met a girl that I was having sex with for about 2 months, and that was a wreck
Do you feel
because
like go ahead?
all she wanted to do was drink. I met her at a bar, and that's all she was a drunk.
So you felt like you were about to go down the same road again?
Yeah, but and she was wanting me to take her out and spend all my money on her at the bar. I said no. Well, I ain't gonna hang at the bar all the time and get drunk all the time. And so she quit hanging out with me.
So do you
I
feel
mean,
like, say it again?
she get so drunk she get so drunk she wouldn't even know where she was. I mean, she had she was at a bar one night and somehow or another called me and got somebody to bring her to my house. That was my parents' house. My parents were gone at the time, or otherwise it would have never happened. But
So do you feel
and she
like,
was so drunk she couldn't walk.
do you feel
And that's
like
how she
your,
always got.
so she was just an alcoholic?
Yeah. And
So
she was young. She was probably 22, 23.
so do you feel like your what happened with your last girlfriend or your disorder is the biggest roadblock of you finding love or a new relationship again? Which one has
It's
been
it's
the biggest?
it's still a Tourette, you know. I mean, the uh, the last girlfriend kind of set me against the drug thing, you know. Yeah, I don't have a problem with marijuana. That you can grow that in your yard, but any kind of chemicals, I don't. And I used to pop pills and do coke and stuff. I only smoked crack twice, and that was with her.
So because
The
your
first
last,
time we met, I smoked, and the second time we met, I smoked. And that was the first time.
and it wasn't for you.
That was the first time we had sex. So when the second time we smoked, because I paid for it. I told her, "God damn, I'm getting something out of this shit." So we bought her. I remember I gave her the money. She got the rock. I did one hit out of it, and she smoked the rest of it.
So do you feel
And then I
that?
gave her some more money.
So do you feel that because your last girlfriend died overdose, you definitely don't want a woman that does anything else other than smoke marijuana. That's it. That's all she
Right,
could do.
right, yeah,
So that narrows it down a little
yeah. That's
bit, your
fair to say.
choices. So that's narrowing down your choices right there, but that's understandable. Totally understandable why you feel that way. I'm sorry to hear that, man. It's a sad story.
And
But
I
uh
mean, it's
you still think your Tourette syndrome is what's holding you back from finding love, even though you're still looking for love.
yeah. I mean, it it messed me up because of having to live with it all my life. It it made me a different person than what I should have been or what I could have been. If you can understand what I'm saying, because I had to change the way I lived. I think to be partially accepted by society and to keep from being hurt on a daily basis. You know, the only people who really can understand what I went through are the people who are bullied. Somebody who's heavy set and gets pushed around and made fun of because they're overweight every day when they're a kid. You know, but the difference with them is some of them can go on a diet, get in shape, and it goes away. Mine cannot go away. It is there every day. It has been there every day for 55 years. There's no making it lesser than what it is. There's no living differently to make it better.
So what do you think can be done
It's made me. I don't think there is anything that can be done.
as society,
I mean,
as a whole?
because it's
Do you think the doctors need to do
changed
more?
me because yes, they need to make people more aware of it. But society, it's a mean society out there. People are so fed up with their own lives that they will poke fun at anybody. Let's face it. People are afraid of anyone who's different to start with. And they're quick to point out and laugh at somebody who's different.
Okay, how do you feel about therapy and people seeking help to
I think the system is broken. That there's I tried therapy and it's the system's too messed up for therapy to really work for anybody.
do you think it's the therapy in itself, or do you think it's the therapist that you have?
It might be a combination
Because I don't
because
think you can
I
go
keep
to one therapist and
because
say,
I keep getting every so, and when I was seeing a therapist, I mean, I'd see him for 6 or 9 months, and then they move on to another job. They take a position at a different office or move or something, and then you get a new therapist,
and you had to
and you're starting
explain,
back at square one.
yeah, you had to explain to
You're
that
starting,
person.
yeah, you got to go right back to, and when you start getting back to, where you were with the last therapist, this one moves on.
Okay, so
And
that
insurance has, they don't like to cover that kind of stuff. They don't have enough coverage to really. Some people need to see a therapist more than once a month. Sometimes you need to be able to go once a week. But insurance companies only want to cover so much. And let's face it, a therapist is not cheap. They're hugely expensive.
yeah, they're about $75 a week to talk to them on the phone for an hour. So
Yeah.
yeah, it can
And
get expensive.
I was only seeing them for a half hour. That's all I get, a half hour.
So do you think if you had how was it going for you the 9 months that you had the same therapist? Were you seeing some improvement before you switched to a different therapist? Did you like it? Did you feel like it
No,
was
I
working
mean,
for you? How did
I
it
didn't
feel?
know.
You don't know. How did it feel releasing or getting certain things off your chest that you never talked to
I mean,
anyone about before?
it would help as far as, when I was able to talk about me and my mom. I was able to get that off my chest, how she frustrates me, how she just treats me like dirt. I mean, just yesterday, she's, my mom is just, I don't know.
What happened yesterday?
She lies. I mean, makes shit up. Just she's got this. I got some stuff in this little area of the barn. She's been wanting me to move for 8 years. Why? I don't know. There ain't nowhere to move it because the barn is so packed full of junk that you can't move around. There's barely room to walk in. It's a big ass barn. I had movies there. She gave the movies to my brother. She knew damn well they weren't his, but she gave them to my brother, and says that she didn't take them. She's telling me I need to move that stuff because she wants to take a kiln. She used to do pottery, and she wants to move a kiln there and start doing pottery again. She's 80 years old. She ain't never going to do pottery again. She can't lift nothing. She can barely walk. It's just an excuse for her to get on my shit because she don't want my stuff sitting there. And she keeps saying, I need to take control or take over payment for one of her sheds to put my stuff in the shed. That's $75 a month. No, I don't need a shed. I don't have enough stuff to put in a shed. And I mean, saying stupid shit like my brother has a girlfriend now. She said when my mom and dad go away, my brother and his girlfriend won't stay in that little trailer that my brother was living in because it's so messed up. That's an outright lie. My mom and dad would have a shit fit if they knew my brother and her were sleeping there together without being married. We are not allowed to bring a woman home.
So you think your mother just get on you just to be getting on you?
Just to be getting on me. And stuff like that. I mean, and she thinks, and she always says it in front of my dad, so I can't say nothing back. Always. Because my dad is extremely protective of her. Why? I don't know. All she does is bitch and moan and complain. She's never freaking happy. The man gave her everything a woman could possibly want, and she ain't happy.
So
they were supposed to be living in the barn out here, but it looked too much like a garage, and she wasn't going to live in a garage. After she threw this fit, after my dad spent the money, bought this property, and had the damn thing built.
So do you think it's because of you? Do you have anything to do with it? Or do you think some people just are like that? Some people are not happy people, or some people have a
She's
different
just not a
way.
happy person, but I think she just don't, I think she doesn't like me. She doesn't treat my brother like that. She doesn't treat my sisters like that. Just me.
So
And I told you before, she talks about me to my best friend. She doesn't talk about my other brothers and sisters, my brother and sisters to him. She just talks about me to him. She treats me different.
I think maybe every kid with multiple siblings can say they get treated a certain way, a little differently than others. So uh you're not alone in that, that's for sure.
But she's outright mean, you know. It's just the things she says, and the way she says it.
Have you ever had a conversation with your mother
I can't. I can't.
and ask her why?
I can't, because she will go to my dad and say some fucked up shit, and I will get kicked out.
So do you think it would be better?
And I have to eat it. I don't have a choice
Do you think it would
until I move. And
If you know she's going to go to your father, would it be better to ask your father first? What he thinks the problem is between y'all two?
I I'm afraid to go to him because he's overly protective of her.
So you think he won't want to listen to what
He's
you had
going
to
to
say?
take her side.
Have you ever heard your mother or your father say that they love you?
No. My mom once in a great while. My dad, I think, has only ever said "I love you" one time, and that was 40 years ago when I tried to kill myself.
How did you try to kill yourself? Because you
It
brought that
was
up last time, and I said we're gonna get back to
it
that.
was a it was a lame attempt. I didn't really. I wanted it, but I didn't go about do it.
I don't think it's
I
a lame attempt to
I took a whole bottle of aspirin, a
I don't
brand new whole bottle of aspirin.
I don't think that's a lame
So it
attempt.
it
No suicide can consider no
and,
attempt on your life
and
can be a lame attempt. That's very serious. And I'm glad you still here with us. You know what I mean? Because I love you. Even though I don't know you that good. I mean, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you didn't kill yourself. I mean, thank God for
it
that.
I don't.
But
It's a wonder. I mean, it wouldn't have killed me,
what
but it
made you what made you
could
want to
have
do
messed
that?
me up
What made you want to do that?
because I was just. I still am. I'm so totally frustrated with life. I'm so tired. I'm tired of being different. I'm tired of being alone. I'm tired of being hurt on a daily basis. I'm tired of waking up in the middle of the night and bawling like a goddamn baby.
So the topic of the thumbnail of this podcast is dealing with love and will I ever find love. Do you think if you had a companion that you would feel differently?
Yeah, I'd actually feel good about myself, and I got some guy friends, but it's not the same. You can talk to them and stuff, but there's no affection, there's no companionship, there's love, but it's a different kind of love. There's no um
Comfort.
yeah,
So do you think because
I've got
you
nowhere to
didn't
go when I'm having a bad day and I'm ready to break down. I don't have anybody to go to and just hold me and let me bawl.
do you think part of the reason for that is because you and your mother had a bad relationship or y'all are not that close, and do you think you missing that motherly
That's
or
I
you,
think No, I think it's just it's because I've never been accepted by women, period, for the most part, including my mom. You know, I've been told so many times, "You're a nice guy, Ray, but you're not my type," or well, I'm not ready to get in a relation. You're a really nice guy. You're a great friend, Ray, but I'm not ready to get in a relationship yet. And just to have them a week, 2 weeks later, to, I've heard every lie you can tell a person. You know,
well, part of the reason why I wanted to create something like this, a podcast or have people come on like this is because maybe Like they said, somebody out there for everyone. And people
No,
share
see,
their
I
story.
can't believe that anymore.
People
Being my
share their
age,
story, what they going through. You never know. Somebody could say, hit my email address and say, hey, I want to meet Ray. He sounds like a nice guy. Next person that comes on and shares a story, they could say, hey, I can relate to that person. How can I get in contact with that person? I mean, you never know.
yeah,
You never know what something like this could bring. That's why I wanted to, because I know everybody has problems. Everyone, even on social media, they look like they're the happiest people in the world. Even pastors get
yeah,
divorced.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
Everybody's going through something. Don't ever think you're the only person that's going through what you're going through. I mean, there's somebody out there
It's
that
just,
doesn't want anything more than a person with Tourette syndrome. No matter how corny it might sound, it's people out there. You haven't met everybody in the world. So you never
you know,
know. You can't ever give up
I
hope.
always thought a woman would want somebody like me because, you know, a per, a person like me, I mean, I have a hard enough time getting a girlfriend to start with. So obviously, I'm going to be dedicated as a son of a bitch because I can't. I mean, I'm not going to be able to find anyone else. So they ain't going to have to worry about being cheated on, being beat on, being uh, mentally abused. But it don't work that way. It's like they want to be. I mean, God, it's so screwed up. The world is screwed up. You know, I'll meet a girl. She just got out of an abusive relationship. I'll treat her like a queen, and she goes back to the guy that's beating on her. Like, what the?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a difficult time that we live in now. But like I said, man, you can't give up. Never give up on yourself or on love because
that's
it's
easier
someone
said
out.
than done. I mean, like I said,
It
it's not like
is.
I'm 30 years old anymore.
To be honest with you, it is easier said than done, but it happens. It happens. People find love every day at every age. Every age. It's never too late. It's never too late.
Ah, well, why don't we call an end to this? I have
Yeah,
to
man.
eat here shortly.
I understand. Thanks for coming on, man, and thank you for sharing this amazing story.
I,
Um,
I hope it helps somebody because
it helped me, man, as a person just listening to it. Just feeling uh different feelings and emotions I was going through as I was listening to it, and feeling sorry for your girlfriend that died at OD'd at an early age, and just different stuff like that. It gets to me every time, but don't give up on yourself. I mean, it'll happen for you in due time. But you can't just keep pushing forward, man. Every day, you're not the only person that's tired of being alone and feeling depressed over different situations. It's always somebody out there doing worse than you
yeah,
are, or feeling worse than you are.
and that's another reason I think that the system is failing because there's so many depressed people out there now, and society is like breeding depression, like like Hershey makes candy bars, you know. It the companies push you to do more work for less pay. You know, bills are constantly going up, and nobody's making the money to keep up with it. It's like my dad said, I don't know, 2 3 months ago. We were talking. Basically, we were talking to my mom. He said it's not like it was when they were young. You know, him and my mom got married, and a man could raise a family on his paycheck alone. You can't do that anymore. It takes two people working two full-time jobs and sometimes a second part-time job for one of the people, because everything has just gotten so out of control. It's a capitalist society. You know, the companies have,
I can agree with you on
they've broken the unions. The unions, some of the unions were actually good, but they've broken the unions, so now you don't have the unions to back the workers up. So the company's taking advantage of the workers, making them work more hours for less money, and saying, if you don't like it, we got somebody else to take your place. Take it or leave it. You know, and in a way, as messed up as it may sound, in a way, this COVID just might, like I said, in a twisted way, might have been a little bit of a good thing, because there's been a lot of people who have refused to go back to work. They're kind of working for themselves, or, you know, they're just sitting back collecting unemployment, and now these companies are finding it hard to replace the workers that they lost. They can't use the same model of take it or leave it that they used to use, because the people are going to say, oh yeah, see ya, I don't need you anymore, you know. So companies are slowly starting to have to change to keep employees and keep good employees, or they're going to run out of business. They're going to drive themselves out of business.
Yeah, that's
a sad way of looking at COVID.
Yeah, that's another conversation in itself. We can go on for hours just about that, but that's a conversation for another day. It's definitely a lot more depression since COVID has hit. It's a lot more depressed people out there.
I mean, not just since COVID has hit, in the last probably 30 years, depression has, I'm just going to go out on a limb and say it's at least doubled. It's probably more than that, but in the healthcare system has kind of left a hole in the floor for depressed people to fall through, and where they can't get the help they need.
Yeah. It's definitely a difficult time, a difficult world we're living in. But thanks for calling. I really appreciate it. And you got my number, man. And anytime you want to talk, man, I'm always available. Just hit my line, hit my email, and we're gonna sign off. Once again, this is the K Pasa podcast and reviews, and I am the ringleader. I have been your host for the day. And thanks for coming on, man. Thanks for calling back.
All right.
All right, man. Have a good one. Y'all be safe.
All right,
be safe.
All right.